Hello everybody, and welcome to workshop number 1 of Bits of Ball. Today we're going to be understanding some common advanced stats. So firstly, I'd like to welcome everybody who has stumbled across this video. If you have, you probably have some sort of interest in basketball, data, probably both. So the first question we're going to ask is, why advanced stats? Well, to put it simply, advanced stats give us a bigger picture of what's going on a basketball court at any given time. Finally, you can make sure to visit bitsofball.wordpress.com for more. With that being said, let's get started. So here we have some team stats and some player stats. We're going to be going over the definition of each one of these. So first we're going to start with the offensive rating. The purpose of an offensive rating is to measure a team's overall offensive performance in a game, season, etc. Next we have the defensive rating. The purpose of the defensive rating is to measure a team's overall defensive performance in a game, season, much like the offensive rating. Let's move on to the player stats. For the first of the player stats we have points per 100. This measures a player's points scored per 100 possessions. Assist percentage. This is going to approximate the percentage of baskets a player assists on. Next we got offensive rebounding percentage, and this is going to estimate the amount of available offensive rebounds a player has secured. Now a lot of this may seem confusing. It might look like a lot of mumbo jumbo, to be honest. So let's look at the formulas. Get a better idea of what's going on here. So the offensive rating, it's going to be points scored per team divided by the number of their possessions times 100. Pretty simple. Defensive rating, it's going to be the same thing, but the opponent's points divided by the opponent's possessions times 100. Once again, pretty simple. It's a common theme with this. Now let's move on to the players. Points per 100. Player points divided by the pace, which is essentially the average number of team possessions, times 100. Next we got assist percentage. This is going to be 100 times the assists divided by minutes played divided by team minutes played divided by 5 times team's field goal percentage minus field goals. Now this can look a little confusing, and to be honest, it is a little confusing. That's why stats are great, because a lot of people do this for you. All you have to do is extract the data, which we'll see in the next step. Offensive rebounding percentage, essentially the same thing, but we're taking the offensive rebounds and the team offensive rebounds. So we have learned about these stats. Now we're going to play around with these stats a little bit. So, we're pulling stats from the internet, and today we're going to look at team offensive rating and defensive rating. While we're looking at these stats, it's important to note that the player stats are also important too. But for simplicity's sake, today we're just going to be looking at offensive rating and defensive rating. Okay, so we've extracted this data, and an important step when you're working with data and doing data analysis is you extract data, but it's not always in the format that you want it. So right here we have the offensive rating and the defensive rating, but we also have all these other tabs, which makes it kind of a pain to look at, especially since we're not factoring any of these in. That's why we got to transform the data. Boom. We made a nice pretty table here on Excel, only with the team's offensive rating, defensive rating, and we'll save net rating for later. So we got the offensive rating and defensive rating. So let's visualize this. We visualized it. So right here, take it all in. We can see all the teams. We got offensive rating on the x-axis, defensive rating on the y. So let's explore this a little bit. Got the Sacramento Kings They had a pretty good offense, as we can see. But is there something about this chart that just feels a little sloppy, a little messy? I think so. So we're going to go back to the transformation. And with this data, we're now going to introduce us a new stat. It's called the net rating. Not to fear, it's pretty simple to calculate. It's just the offensive rating minus the team defensive rating. That's how you get your net rating. Teams with a higher net rating generally are better teams. Teams with a lower net rating generally are the worst teams. So let's take this information that we see here on this graph, tweak it a little. Wow, that looks a lot better. Now we got it in descending order. We see the Boston Celtics had the best net rating, 6.5. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 5.5. And we go to some of these worst teams, the San Antonio Spurs. Although this year, that number might be a little different. Pistons, Rockets. So in short, these aren't the most advanced stats you'll ever see. This is just an introductory workshop to get you, the viewers, used to getting your mind to think about advanced stats, and also the workflow of extracting data, transforming it, and loading it into a visualization model to make it easier for the eyes to see. That just about concludes the video. If you like this video and you want to see more, like it, maybe comment, and especially subscribe. Also, just a reminder to check out the blog bitsofball.com, bitsofball.wordpress.com if you want to see some more of this content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.